Live.
I believe we're live.
Yep. Live from East Coast and West Coast.
Yeah, that's right.
I've heard and I've read some tips about if you put the @ and mention someone in your post, it actually limits the post engagement because the algorithm kind of thinks you're directing it like to them.
Huh.
So what I've seen some people do is they, similar to links, not wanting to put a link in a post, but they put it in the first comment
as the first comment. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to try it this week here.
All right.
And just see if it does anything, but I don't know if it does. So I'm going to go up and post this now. Okay. And because we're going to, here we go. Notifications. Where is it? There we go. Okay. So liked, and then I'm going to quote. There we go. All right.
Shannon Jean.
Yeah, and I'm going to...
Brain Show.
Perfect.
LinkedIn jobs. Okay, great. I'll do that. That's fine.
All right, great. I posted that, and then I'm going to... oh, yeah, you did that. Good. And then, okay, great. Awesome. Thanks for streaming in here, people. This is the pre-show. We're getting things set up, and we got some interesting topics today for you. Promise. It's almost like you need to sit here and have something going on to give people enough time to really stream in, right? Oh, I like that Coin to Play shirt. I get to get one of those.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. I sent out Content Cowboy t-shirts last week to everybody in the group. You know, Vistaprint had a smoking deal on shirts, man.
Really?
$12 for.
Are they decent shirts?
They are a shirt you would wear.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, if you give me a minute, I'll hold it up and show it to you. Hold on.
Well, I'm more about like how does it feel?
Yes, it's not that like this shirt I'm wearing here, which is for a brewery that I went to last week. It's that ring spun cotton, which is very soft. I like that a lot.
Same.
Some people don't.
Right.
That you can get that's probably a little more expensive at Vistaprint, but these are soft cotton. I washed it; it looked great and felt really good. And I was shocked because a lot of time, like the Business Brain one I sent you, that was like almost $30. You know, now it's comfortable. I wear it all the time. I do wear it, but yeah, these are pretty good. I'm actually going to order a couple more. Maybe I'll sneak in a Business Brain.
Yeah. Cool.
And check you one. So
I'm going to just make sure the ads play. So.
Okay.
All right, folks. When you're I assume you heard that, yeah?
I heard it. Sounded
great.
Glorious.
Sweet.
We're thrilled to have LinkedIn Jobs sponsoring the episodes this week.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
Same.
Okay.
Same. Yeah.
Yes.
They make it's nice having them as a sponsor, and it's nice having them as a vendor too. Like I've used them. Yeah.
It's terrific. It's great. Okay, so I'm ready to go anytime.
I'm ready to rock. Yeah.
I'm ready to rock. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Here goes nothing. Yep. Here we go. Oh, wait. Now we're ready. Business Brain, episode 557 for Wednesday, June 12th, Superman Day, 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take a few ideas, we dissect them, we analyze them, we discuss them in order for each of us to be able to tune our business brains every single time we get together. Our sponsor for this episode is linkedin.com/businessbrain. That's where you can go to post your first job for free. We will talk more about LinkedIn jobs in a minute here. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And on the other side of the country, on the West Coast, I'm Shannon Jean.
Yeah,
Glad to be here. What day is it today?
Superman Day.
Okay, I had an intro topic, but it's way boring, so we'll save it the next time. We got to talk about superhero complex, right?
Okay.
I heard it referred to the other day, or I read it, referred to as main character syndrome. and I'd never heard about that.
Sure.
I'd heard it called that before. And, that's I think, well, I know I struggled with it as a young entrepreneur getting started, where you're kind of the center of the spoke, the hub,
Yep.
the hub, if you will, of everything going on around you. And that's a tough lesson, or was a tough lesson for me to give up, and to not have to have all this kind of stuff flowing through you in this old style kind of command and control mentality. And I just, take it from my experience that you want to give up. Now I want to give up the powers as quickly as I can and get the people. I have a couple of, some new people working for me.
Yep.
And after a few weeks, I started using phrases like, "Oh, you tell me, you tell me what you want me to do. What resource do I give you to
get the job done?
To get the job done." And
yes,
I don't, I only care about your output. So let's go. And just trying to change my role so where no one is sitting there waiting for information to flow through me. Right.
Oh, you can, if you, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can create this, but main character syndrome, lead singer disease, we call it in the music business. It's a little bit different.
That's a Van Halen thing, right?
Totally.
Yes. Okay.
David Lee Roth is like the prime, the canonical example of lead singer syndrome or lead singer disease.
Yeah.
Whereas it's, you want that person when you're on stage performing to be the focus of attention. You need that. Like, that's very important for a band.
Yes.
However, as soon as you walk off stage, you don't want that. You don't want to have to deal with that person, that personality. You don't want to have to deal with.
It's part of that is, and I imagine it's very difficult as a performer, but as an entrepreneur, small business owner,
we're performers all the time. Yeah.
So you're learning to kind of ramp your ego up and down, where I think that's got to be very important. And over time and reading the room, right? Knowing that, okay, now's the time for me to stand up and, I'm the badass and I came up with this concept and everything revolves around me or my partner or both of us when you're talking to whoever, somebody. But when you go step back and you're in a different environment, maybe your employees or whatever, I highly encourage you to give that up and to flatten the organization as much as you possibly can.
As much as you can. Yep.
It'll just make your life better. I'm going through it with a nonprofit that I volunteer with now. And historically, it's been very top heavy. And there's been like an executive board that had to be involved in every single decision. And now that I'm on that executive board, as I've swam upstream for the last couple of weeks, I'm like, hey, guess what? We're not doing it this way anymore.
Yeah, we're not doing it. Yeah.
Giving all the power to the rest of the people. And so far, so good. But you have to be comfortable giving up and not have your, of course, I have my personality wrapped around these businesses. There's no way around it.
Correct. Correct. But that's the same thing.
You can't separate it.
It in a band is a business. If you're going to be making money with it, like it's a business. It's the same kind of thing. You have yourself wrapped up, but like there's the people like David Lee Roth who couldn't do it. And then to me, the best example of somebody who knows how to manage this, it was also a singer in Van Halen, Gary Sharon.
Oh,
that guy
for a while, right?
Yeah, for a short bit, mostly with Extreme, right? That's where we know Gary from. And Gary, I've had the pleasure of being on stage with him. When he walks on stage, he turns into Gary freaking Sharon, and it's crazy.
Alter ego,
yeah. And I mean, he's a great performer and he pulls the crowd in and all of that.
Nice.
But as soon as he walks off stage, like you're sitting and having a pizza with him,
he's just a normal dude.
He talks less than you and I do. He's the quietest guy at the table.
Wow. Well, maybe it's that, remember we did, maybe
confidence is part of it, I think.
Yeah.
At least it communicates confidence. Whether or not that's actually confidence or not, I don't know. But it
maybe, we did episode 530 about this alter ego effect.
Yeah.
And I was presenting it in a framework like kind of protecting your true self online as you grew a brand or something like that. But also maybe you could apply it to this where, hey, when I'm on stage or I'm giving a presentation, I'm the super business guy or whatever.
Yes.
But when I, step off, I'm just Shannon, and let's go have a beer and relax. And that's good. That's good.
All right, folks. When you're running a small business, finding the right people is key, right? That's why I love our sponsor, LinkedIn Jobs. Over the years, I've hired some amazing folks through LinkedIn, including Sadie, our social media and promotions ninja. LinkedIn Jobs isn't just a job board, it's a treasure trove of talent. They help you find professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively hunting but are open to the perfect role. Fun fact, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not using LinkedIn, you're missing out. Here's the kicker. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours on LinkedIn. That's hiring like a pro. Plus, LinkedIn knows we're all juggling a million things, so they keep making the process easier. They even have a new feature to help you write job descriptions faster. So if you want to hire top-notch professionals without the hassle, check out LinkedIn Jobs. Your next star employee is just a click away. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/businessbrain. That's linkedin.com/businessbrain to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And our thanks to LinkedIn Jobs for sponsoring this episode. All right, so Shannon, in the role of being a coach, do you need to be Superman? Do you need to temper your ego?
Question.
How do you ride that wave?
Yeah, that's a good. And that's why I wanted to ask you this week and talk to you, bring up this subject of coaches and courses. Okay. Because, I go back and forth because sometimes they get a bad rap. But, in my life, most of the time I've benefited, significantly from both those things. And
except when we've had them as guests on this show.
Yeah. Now, why is that? Is it okay? So let's back that up. That's an excellent point. So, okay, what makes a good coach, right? What is it? Is it their ability to ramp their ego up and down? Is it more just like, I always think it's what their experience. Like, we hired a coach when we were publishing our first small business guide, right? I forget her name, but she was terrific.
It was through I forget the name of
the
self-publishing school,
something,
and her name was Lise, Lise, but
Lise.
she doesn't work there anymore.
Do that anymore. But what I loved about it is that she focused on her credibility and shared, here's all the books I published, and we could instantly see, like, okay, she's done this, so we should listen to her. And it wasn't, I see a lot of 25-year-old life coaches on X. Let's just say that, okay? And we'll use that as the example. That's the opposite, where I wouldn't necessarily, or I get people in my DMs saying, hey, I can get you X number of this and X number of that. And then you go look at their account and you're like, what? How could, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. So you could do this for yourself first, buddy.
Correct. You haven't. Yeah. So a good coach would be somebody that's done it, right? Do they have to do the exact thing they're coaching you on?
See, I think it depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I really think this is true because for like the self-publishing school, that was handy and necessary for the person coaching us to know the subject matter.
Yes. Okay.
Right? For that specific type of thing, yes. But other types of coaches, I consider a therapist a coach in a sense.
Yeah. And a coach a therapist.
Right? And a coach a therapist, right? They can serve the same purpose, or similar purposes at least. And I've always felt that part of, I don't want to dismiss therapists, that's not the intention of what I'm about to say. Part of the value of therapy is that you pay for it. And therefore you are engaged, right? And so I think that's also part of the value of coaching. It doesn't mean that it works with any coach, bad or good, or any therapist, bad or good. But I think part of the value is you've got to be engaged, and usually paying for something makes you more engaged. There can be other reasons, of course.
Yeah.
But with therapy, if you've got a therapist that is good, now they would have had, by nature of them being able to call themselves and work as a therapist,
some training.
They would have some training. So they would have the experience, maybe not with your specific issues that you need to work through or whatever, same as a coach, but some experience. Like, for example, you've got some people that are paying you to be their coach with their business. Well, doesn't mean you've run a business like theirs, but you've run enough businesses that you have the ability to look with your business brain at things. So
and that's a good point, because paying for it, but then also like training. Is it as I'm developing this coaching and people are asking me to advise them? I don't have any training as a coach. Right. But is that, I don't know that the person that coached us had any training. I've hired coaches. I hired just like a mindset coach, and it was more, they guided me through some, curriculum that they had developed. Yep. And I found it incredibly useful. And it's almost like you're reading a book that's very important and offers some different framework, like the E-Myth, and you're paying the author to talk to you in between chapters, right? And so
I'm you're helping me crystallize what I believe is important in a coach.
That's what I want to do. Great. That's exactly what I want to do here, is to understand it.
Because I think having the knowledge base is not the most important thing.
Okay.
I think having experience with coaching or a natural demeanor that is sort of geared towards being a teacher. I think like there are some people that are just super knowledgeable and terrible teachers.
So the ability to teach, great communication, right?
Yeah, well, and empathy and the ability to understand what you need next. Like, to me, that's what makes a good teacher, is knowing, and it's best if they sort of intuitively know this, but certainly I suppose it can be trained into you, and you can identify things like, oh, okay, I see where this person's going. They're going to need X next. But if the person, almost the lack of an ego, to go back to our intro topic here, right, where it's not about the coach, it's about the person being coached. And so what can I do to help you? Not what can I tell you about how great I am?
No,
you know what I mean? Like, because in the scenario with Lise, who coached us through self-publishing school, she did a lot, she knew a lot, and she was an okay coach. But a lot of times it defaulted to, well, here's what I did in this scenario.
Yeah.
As opposed to, let me apply what I know to your scenario. We never got that kind of thing from her, but we did get valuable things because she had valuable knowledge, and she was good.
She shared it.
At sharing that. Right.
She was.
And so I think that's like step one for being a good coach. Yeah. But I think it can ratchet up from there. But the intuitiveness or the awareness of, I know what you need to know next.
Well, and I'll flip that. As a client of a coach, it's imperative for you to tell the coach exactly what your definition of success is going to be.
Yes.
I'm hiring you because I want to learn maybe this specific thing, or I need help with these things, right?
See, I think as a client going in and saying, I need to learn this specific thing, is selling yourself short. You are going to train the coach in the wrong way. Because my question, if I were your coach and I were a good coach, my question, the first thing I would say, if you said, all right, I'm hiring you, Dave, because I want you to teach me about Wi-Fi networks. Okay, great. My very next question would be, why? What is your end goal here? Is it that you want to know about Wi-Fi networks, or do you want to get a Wi-Fi network up and running at your house? Or do you want to be someone that goes out and fixes other people's Wi-Fi networks?
Those are different, very different
things.
Yeah, very different things.
Correct. And I have the knowledge and the same, like there's a core knowledge base there that would be perfectly applicable to both. I don't know of a way to mind meld that to you. And so it's better for me if I know why you want this knowledge and how you want to apply it, because I can teach you, like teaching you how to do it at home is very different than teaching you how to convince other people to do it the right way. Right. Because half of that job is, even if you're not making money on the stuff that they're using, half of that job is convincing them to trust you.
Of course. You're selling yourself.
Yes.
Like everything else.
Like everything else.
But if your coach, your
coach is selling themselves too.
Yeah, because you're trying to connect with them, and they got you. You're trying to be credible and offer, and offer value. And I think that's, it's crucial. And I think it's the same thing on the courses side. Who's preparing this course? Look, what have they done?
Yes.
Is it, because you can drop stuff in AI and get a course in 30 seconds now, right? So
yes,
if you're,
but that's not where the value is.
No, the value is, hey, this is how I did something. These are all the things I learned along the way. If you want to be where I am and you're X months or X years behind, this is how I can help you get to this point. So it's what to look for. And I would love, feedback from our listeners, feedback at businessbrain.show. What do you think of coaches? What do you think of courses? What have you used? And, share your inspiration, your good stories, bad stories with us so we can, help each other.
Yeah, absolutely. What makes a good coach? And if you are a coach, let us know. And
let us know. But
we made a rule not to have coaches on the show.
Exactly.
However, the rules are meant to be broken. You can convince us to have you on the show if you're going to come on and talk about coaching and not just talk about your coaching business. We'll let you tell people how to find you.
That's
obviously.
What really got me, because we decided it's not authentic. So how do we do
God,
it?
It sucked. Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
But there's somebody out there that's good at this. Yeah,
absolutely.
So let us know. Feedback at businessbrain.show. We'd love to hear from you. Check out linkedin.com/businessbrain, of course, and keep living that charmed life. We'll see you on Friday. And we're out.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Okay, great.
Yep.
So for you, if you're watching on the streams, we're in between episodes here, so Dave's gonna fiddle with buttons and knobs and get everything ready so I can do the post-production after we're done here. The goal for us in this podcast is to, like Dave says, lazy podcasting. We want to get it.
We're not really lazy.
No, but it's automate as much as you can, create systems, delegate to one another so it's not all on one person's shoulders.
Yep.
And get it to where you can push the content out very quickly. It's interesting. I had people ask me, it's like, well, what setup I should get? What mic, should I spend $500 on a mic? Should I buy this? Should I buy that?
I know the answer to that. It's no.
Yeah.
Don't spend $500.
And I'm just like, the key is, and I learned this from Dave, is just get whatever you can get your hands on and start recording. And then you can improve as you go along. The key is consistency and getting up here every week and pushing out, this is episode 558. I think that we just recorded. And
we just recorded 557. We're going to do
557.
Yep.
We're going to do 558 in a minute. And this is we're in our 10th season. So our 10th year doing this stuff. And it's great. I love pulling these topics out. This morning I walk out, I'm just like, I have no idea what we're going to talk about. And I used to heavily agendize this show because I wasn't as maybe confident or comfortable, not comfortable. But just comfortable. And I always had to, but I like letting it go and picking topics that I'm currently interested in, and it seems to be, seems to work great. So,
I have an idea for an intro topic in this next episode, Shannon.
Terrific,
if I can take it, okay,
you can take it. Yeah, great. Mine is,
mine is evergreen.
You do it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pull mine off. And so, yeah, so we always come up with an introductory topic, just a few minutes, but we can chat, and then we record. Dave records the ad spots, and we run those, and then we get into our main topic, and it's good.
What's going on?
I enjoy it.
Dang it, man.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a little longer than
WordPress.
Oh, yeah.
It just like it wants to mess with the formatting of everything.
Yeah, with their crazy block.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, there it is. Great.
And I'm interested in this next episode because the title of it is Saved by My Ego. And we're going to learn about this. But
it could also be saved from my ego because my ego saved me from itself.
Okay. I'm interested. It's curious. And now we have a new mystery intro topic. So it's great.
And there's a mystery intro topic, which I think I can articulate it.
Great. That's good. I always say I learn the most on this show. I always love talking to people. And
I have an idea to propose. Is perfect. What I have. Yeah.
Perfect. We have a great guest coming up. We have an interview next week with Alex Forbes from Lane 17. Oh, he's going to kill me. I'm going to find it. And he's terrific. And where are we at here? Alex Forbes. Lane17.com. So he's a cabinet maker, and they're just killing it, building this business, making the amazing craftsman stuff. So he's coming on next week to talk about his entrepreneurial journey and all the stuff that he's got going on. It's going to be great. And that's the guests we like to have on, the real business owners type thing, the people that have done it, that are grinding every day out there in the trenches. So,
yep,
that's good.
All right. I'm ready if you're ready.
I'm ready, Dave.
Let's do this. Sure. Why not? Let me put that up where it should be. Okay. Business Brain, episode 558 for Casual Friday, June 14th, National Pop Goes the Weasel Day 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take an idea or three, we dissect them, we analyze them, we use them to tune our business brains every single episode so that we can each keep living that charmed life. Our sponsor for this episode is linkedin.com/businessbrain. That's where you're going to go to post your first job for free. I know, it's awesome. We'll talk more about LinkedIn jobs and how I've used it in a little bit. For now, here as usual in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And out here in sunny California, I'm Shannon Jean. Happy Friday, dude.
Happy National Pop Goes the Weasel Day.
I don't know what that means, but
I don't either. Well, it's about the game. Pop Goes the Weasel.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. So I want to apply our business brains to an idea that I had this past weekend about our show. Like it's the idea is, could this be a recurring segment on the show? So bear that in mind. And you may help me decide, Dave, that's insane. No way. And I'm fine with that answer. But
all right.
I was with my wife. We wound up picking up a foster puppy on Sunday, and this was on Saturday night when I had this idea. But I knew that we were going to go pick up this puppy. We'd gone and visited it, and it's fine. And she works with this shelter. She works with a couple different shelters, and occasionally we'll foster, nice. until a pet gets adopted. Right. And, they're always like at their, she started telling me, she's like, well, just know that when we go to the shelter tomorrow, it's like, it kind of looks like a dump. Like they don't have a huge budget. I'm like, of course. Like, no, I got that. No problem. But I started thinking, I'm like, here's this thing, because here's us, right? We are fairly financially solvent, let's say.
Yes.
And we're empty nesters. We have room in the house for another dog, but we're like really hesitant to add another dog to the house because every time we travel, it's an added burden
of either dynamic.
It's a whole different thing.
We have two dogs. It's definitely a different dynamic.
Yep. And it's like, I don't know what, but like 98% of the time we'd be totally fine having another dog around. Right. But then there's also there's vet costs and there's this, that, and the other thing. And so I started thinking about the animal shelters and the business model of the animal shelter. And I don't want to say it needs to be fixed, but maybe it can be evolved, because here's all of these people that are involved with the shelter. There's some that actually work there. Then there's this like core of volunteers that donate some amount of their time. And then there's also people that donate money to
right.
the shelter. And some of them are also volunteers and some of them not so much. And, there's a whole little, but there's a community around each shelter. And the thing is, like, we're people that donate some money, more time than money, generally speaking. And we want to help these dogs, but we don't want to take full responsibility for one of these dogs.
Okay.
And so what if the model was, instead of because right now, if you go and adopt a dog from that shelter, or most shelters, they say thank you, but then they kind of also say screw you. They don't feel that way, but that's it's like, this is your fault now.
Yeah. Okay,
right?
You're on your own.
You're on your own. Right. Yeah, exactly. So what if, instead of the screw you model, and I realize I'm hyperbolizing a little bit. The shelters don't actually feel that way. They're very thankful that you. But instead of that model, what if we had it takes a village model, right? Where there was a community of people, and when you adopt a dog from the shelter, it's still. And I don't know that this is I don't have the full idea here. I just have this concept. And maybe it's, when you adopt a dog, you're still part of the shelter community. And so is your dog. And let's say you also were, part of this same shelter community. But the deal is, you adopt this dog. If you need to go on vacation, come to us, and we'll place it with someone. Now, it might just be that my dog goes to your house, Shannon, right?
Yeah.
And people do this unofficially with like friends and stuff. But I feel like with a shelter at the center being the gravity and the ultimate responsible party for it, that would take the stress off of people. And there would be actually, in the end, more people being involved, because they'd feel comfortable knowing that the shelter was there to have their back, right? And maybe you even pay a little bit, like dues or something.
Well,
and
I was thinking, why could the shelter could open a dog daycare type thing?
They could do that,
but make some money, and
you wouldn't even need to do that if you had enough people in the system, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm going to go away. Okay, great. We'll coordinate that your dog is going to go to Shannon's house or Timmy's house or wherever. Okay, great, no problem. Sometimes, we can't go to Shannon's or Timmy's or anybody else's, so it's going to have to be boarded here for the week that you're away. But at least they've got you kind of covered. And the same could be done again with the shelter as sort of the central figure coordinating large vet bills, things like that. You want to
get in the pet business on this show? Is that what you're doing?
No, what I want to get into is the business of looking at a business model and collect it, because this is just like a starter idea. There's, I just threw out 10 facets of this idea. I bet 9 of them, if we analyzed them, we'd throw away, right? But there's something here to evolve this business and actually help solve the problem that they are solving in an even more robust way. And so, is that something we could do here on this show? Maybe, once every 2 weeks, we do 4 segments a week, the 2 segments per episode. And so out of maybe 1 out of every 8 segments, we apply to whatever the topic do month is, or whatever the current topic is.
I like it.
And we bring in some experts. We bring in people from, if we were going to use this model, we'd bring in people from the animal shelter business, get their thoughts on it, because this is going to not land well, but there are businesses out there, and I think animal shelters are a good example of this, that don't have the they don't have the funds to go and hire
they don't have an
a
advisor
management consultant or an
Yeah.
advisor, right? And generally the advisors are like, let's help the dogs. Like that's what the people are focused on, and that's great. But
my take on it would be, it's kind of like our business therapy that we call it. Like where Dave and I, before we connect, we'll wind up talking like half hour, 45 minutes, trying to help each other solve problems that we have. That usually we don't air that stuff, but sometimes we do.
Yes.
But what if we did does your business or do you need some business therapy? And they could email in or send us a DM and we could.
But I feel like we've offered that before.
We have. The question is,
we need to seed the topic. We need to pick the topic and then go tell people where I don't know. I think, like that was my thought. Was like,
it. Yeah,
I love this.
I would love if you could
we need
those
to force feed people a little bit.
The concept of having people come on to talk about that. That's a challenge in my view of making it, because time-wise, managing the people, doing those things, it's work, right? Not that not that I don't mind working, but the one thing I love about this show is I just kind of walk on and start doing it, right?
Right.
And I love.
But I would love to 10x the audience for this show.
I would,
and
too.
I think this might be a path to doing that.
I think it's great
because we'll wind up getting PR out of it.
Yes.
I mean, the goal would be to help a business model, right?
Yes.
Or a specific business, but hopefully something that the people listening could then apply to their similar, business or whatever. So I don't know. I
think it's a great idea. We have to let's fine tune it.
Yes, of course,
and come up with it. But I love that. I love trying new things, keeping things fresh. I think it's awesome. Let's figure it out.
All right, folks. When you're running a small business, finding the right people is key, right? That's why I love our sponsor, LinkedIn Jobs. Over the years, I've hired some amazing folks through LinkedIn, including Sadie, our social media and promotions ninja. LinkedIn Jobs isn't just a job board, it's a treasure trove of talent. They help you find professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively hunting but are open to the perfect role. Fun fact, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not using LinkedIn, you're missing out. Here's the kicker. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours on LinkedIn. That's hiring like a pro. Plus, LinkedIn knows we're all juggling a million things, so they keep making the process easier. They even have a new feature to help you write job descriptions faster. So if you want to hire top-notch professionals without the hassle, check out LinkedIn Jobs. Your next star employee is just a click away. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/businessbrain. That's linkedin.com/businessbrain to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And our thanks to LinkedIn Jobs for sponsoring this episode. So, Shannon, we talked last episode on Wednesday about, managing our egos and that sort of thing. And I've been thinking lately about a moment in time that crystallized for me when my ego saved me from itself, really.
Okay.
Is where it was. I was on stage at Mac Tech, which it hasn't happened since COVID lockdowns. I'm not sure what the status of its future is or anything.
Yep.
But it was a conference for people using Apple products mainly in business and the enterprise.
Okay.
It was right, like
not consumer like Macworld was or whatever.
Yeah, not consumer like Macworld. Like it was very technically focused. There certainly were a lot of people there that were, that used like Apple computers or computers in general at home, but they also were managing computers either for, there were a lot of lone wolf style consultants there that managed, hundreds of people's computers a year or whatever. And some who had built businesses with multiple people around that concept, but then also like the person at a university who managed the whole tech department, those kinds of people would go. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Right. So one year I was invited to do a session, which was was great. And I did a session on Synology, the network storage devices.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I put together a session. I had given it a similar version of it at another conference, and it's always a good idea to find ways to reuse your sessions, A, because you don't have to write them from scratch, and B,
let me just say, you were explaining what a network storage device is and how to use it, basically?
And how to use it. Like going into some very specific use cases of how to use this thing. I mean, I did explain what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't really have to for that particular crowd. It was intermediate to advanced at that point. But I certainly did explain what it was for anybody that didn't know. And then it was like, all right, here's how you would do it to like run your own Google Docs thing so that you're not storing your data with Google. You get to do it here, private cloud, all that stuff. Right, exactly.
Awesome. Okay.
How to manage your backups on it, like all those things. And so it was a session I'd given before. I was very confident with the timing of it, all of those things. Like I hit the stage in great shape. And then, and I always tell people at sessions, I say, hey, look, I want this to be interactive. So please, if something comes up, raise your hand. I will get to you, and we'll address your question in line. And I always make a little joke like, however, I reserve the right to change my mind on this if you folks get out of hand. Because I got to be in charge, right? Yeah. Like you got to get through to the end. And that was actually another lesson I learned at a different presentation.
I like it.
But so I start going. Hand comes up. I get to a point. It's like I can. Yes, your question, and it wasn't a question. It was a comment adding more detail to what I had just talked about. And it was stuff
that's challenging.
I didn't know. And in that moment, but it was valuable, and it was well articulated. It wasn't like this person wanted to just bloviate and be the speaker.
Great. He was trying to add value to what you had said.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
And succeeded at it. However, it was the first time I'd really experienced that when I realized, wait a minute, there's no way in the world that I am the smartest person about Synology in this room. I knew I wasn't the smartest person in general in the room, but when you're on stage, you're the expert about a certain thing. That's at least the mindset.
That's
most
why you're
people,
there, right?
That's why you're there.
Yeah,
yep.
I've been there. Yeah,
and it was, and I had to in that moment. It was a blow to my ego, of course, like realizing this, and this was like a split second where all of these thoughts that I'm going to take 4 minutes to explain, sort of processed. It was like, wait, holy crap, okay. That person really should be the one up here giving this, but they're not.
No.
I'm the one up here giving this. So we all know right now that this person knows more than me about at least this aspect of how the Synology systems work. There's zero question in my mind, and I have to assume everybody else sees it too, because they're all smart people, and so why wouldn't they? And I thought, that's okay. Because my job is being the MC here. I am guiding us through this. I know that there's a path to take us through that will get the majority of people in the room what they were promised when they came in, because I wrote the session description, right?
Yeah, that's nice.
And so it was at that point that, like I said, my ego saved me from itself. It was a huge blow to realize, wait a minute, like, I might have already said something that was wrong, and this person knows it, and changing from being like, wait, that's okay. This is great. In fact, as long as I can manage them well, we can make this a very interactive conversation, perhaps more interactive than I had intended, and get the right information out for everyone in the room. But I got to be the one holding the reins.
Yes.
And that's the only thing that I need to do.
It's a great framework, man.
Right? But like, I did not walk on stage ever having even thought about that. And it was this, I don't know how long it would have taken me to think of that if it weren't an emergency moment.
Like where you had to make decisions.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, that's tough.
Because I need to figure out a way to get through the next 35 minutes.
It's like dealing with a heckler, right? How do you spin it?
But they weren't a heckler, like, to be clear.
Correct. Yeah. But thankfully. But yeah, that framework is powerful in so many different areas. I would say it's just like us doing this podcast.
Oh, I use it all the time.
Yeah.
And it came up. I mean, this was 10 years ago that this happened for me, probably longer. And like, it has become so much a part of how I present information, how I am on stage, that it's rare that I even think about that moment, although that moment is crystallized in my memory. Like I will never forget what it felt like in that, all of it. But it was just like, I've adopted it as part of the way to do things because it's for me, it's a good way to do things.
Yep. I absolutely. And I think that, I sitting here listening to you and applying it to kind of where I'm at. If you like even posting on social media as something where you're oftentimes to get attention, you have to make a definitive statement, right?
Yes.
Even to the point where maybe it's a little bit of hyperbole and then you're walking it back. Well, there's all kinds of people that come into the comments that are, quote, experts in this and probably do know more than you. But if they make a comment or a question or a contradiction in a decent manner, let's say, you can lean into that and go, dude, that's so great. Or hey,
thank you.
Yep. Yeah. Be positive. And I think it's terrific because it is adding that, we're all trying to learn here.
Well, that's it.
It's great. I love that idea.
My Mac Geek Gab podcast, we say at the beginning of every episode, we organize things into an agenda so that we can each learn 5 new things every single time we get together. You can hear it rolls off my tongue. I've said it, hundreds of times. And I have to think that moment at MacStock at Mac Tech. MacStock is a show that's coming up soon. That moment at Mac Tech might have been part of that sort of redefinition of or evolution of that show, because it's like, well, wait, we're all just here to learn. And guess what? If I show you, my audience, that I am just as willing to learn as I am asking you to be, I'm now modeling the behavior I want from you. And we all can learn together. And it's not manipulative in a Machiavellian way. I mean, it's sincere. Like, I have to actually model that behavior, not fake it, right?
Yeah, that's great. I commend you for, obviously that crystallized at that moment.
Yeah.
And because it could have gone the exact opposite where you got defensive.
And sweating and
right. I can totally see it. And,
it could have gone south, man. Yep.
Yeah. And that's the challenge sometimes, when you're speaking in front of people and whether you're sitting on a panel or hosting it in your case, that is the way to go, where you got to manage that ego in the sense that, hey, I'm here because I've been asked to be here. So I have some kind of credibility and experience or authority, let's say.
Yep.
But if you can then, adjust things to where you're open to these different ideas, and not just that I'm here to teach, you're going to listen to me, right? It's hey, we're going to talk about this topic. I'm going to share what I know, but you never know. We may get somebody out. And you could even say that at the beginning. You say, I'm hoping there's people in the audience that know even more than I do about this. And then
that's fair.
It kind of
you got to be careful.
Things.
You got to know your audience.
Correct.
But that's okay. Yeah.
Or ensure, like I always say, people always talk, it's like, oh, you've achieved all these things, whatever. And I said, I just sound smarter because I'm telling my story in reverse. And it's not that I know anything. These guys are in their 30s. I said, you guys are killing it. And by the time you get to my age, you're going to be, probably way farther than I am.
Yep.
So you're trying to connect and not, you want to have some authority so you have credibility, but you also want to be a decent human being. So that's a great story.
Exactly.
And, thank you for sharing it. I think it's terrific.
No, it was a pivotal moment for me, for sure.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. And it has paid dividends for a decade. And I forget about it because, again, I don't forget about it. I just don't think about sharing it because it's so obvious to me now.
It's part of who you are.
It's part of who I am. Yeah, it totally is. Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for
folks.
Listening, watching the stream, all that great stuff. We appreciate your support.
Yeah, feedback at businessbrain.show. Share your ideas. Share your thoughts on our initial conversation, too, about our codifying of business therapy. And thanks. Keep living that charmed life. See you next week. And we're out. Sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching in on the stream. Hope you enjoyed it. Got something out of it. Feedback at businessbrain.show, or you can DM Dave or I up on X. And if you have comments or things you think we could try out, things we could do better, things you like, things you didn't, love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
This show is for you. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. As long as I can wear shorts and a t-shirt, I'm happy to be here.
You got it, man.
All right. Take it easy, people.